Let the interview begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Full of Nerds podcast. I'm here with David Howard Thornton. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, doing very well. Great to have you on the show after the amazing success of Terrifier over these past few years. But I just wanted to ask first of why you became an actor and wanted to get involved with this industry.
Oh man, I first got into acting because of like church theater of all things. My parents were very involved in all of that, and
Okay.
so that's what got me started. And yeah, I did that for a little bit, and then it wasn't until I got to middle school where I was bullied a lot and everything. My mom wanted me to get out of my shell, so she encouraged me to audition for our school's our choral programs performance of Mickey's Christmas Carol, and so I ended up getting the role of Mickey Mouse and that Bob Cratchit. And we had stuff going on stage that was going wrong, and I just started improvising on the spot and cracking jokes and everything. Had everybody laughing, and I love that feeling because the first time at school, people were laughing with me instead of at me, and I loved that. I love bringing that kind of happiness, and I love being in control for once. And I was like,
Of
man, I
course.
want to do more of this. And so I that's when I really started finding my love for theater because that's when I kind of threw myself into. I started doing community theater after that, and then I I didn't get my degree in theater. I got my degree in teaching because I wanted to be practical. And I was like, oh, acting's not necessarily a stable career path. At least with the teaching degree, I won't have a lot of money, but at least I'll be getting stable income.
True.
And so that was my path. Yeah. And then my mom passed away from cancer while I was in college, and that kind of just changed everything for me. I was just like, man,
Wow.
I
Sorry to
life's
hear
too
that.
short not to do what I want to do with my life. Yeah, that's hey, I wouldn't be where I am now. So that set me on my path. I was just like, yeah, I want to do this instead. So I gave up teaching and decided to go into acting, and I moved up to New York after finishing my degree.
Nice. That's awesome.
And because at least with the degree, I still had something to fall back on if this didn't work out. Yeah. So everything worked out. It took me a long time to get here, but it's finally starting to work.
It's really good to hear. And obviously, as I said, being involved with arguably one of the most popular, upcoming horror, well, I call it a duology for the time being, obviously, because we don't know if there's going to be more. But
Yeah.
how did you get involved with Terrifier? Because obviously, I know Art the Clown was originally played by someone else in the little teaser. So how come you took on the role in the Terrifier film?
Yes. Yeah. Mike Gianelli was original art, and he decided not to come back to it.
Okay.
And yeah, he wanted to do other things with his life.
Yeah.
Especially he didn't want to go through all the makeup and all that fun stuff again. So it worked out for me. So I just I found an audition for it online, and they were looking for a tall, skinny guy to play Art that had like background like comedy, like physical comedy or clowning. And I was like, that sounds like perfect for me. So I'm like, sure, why not? So I jumped right into it, and I auditioned. I told my agents this is perfect for me, so they sent me in for the audition, and I booked it. So rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, you mentioned the makeup. How long does it take to put that makeup on and the costume, of course?
Too long. No kidding. Originally, it took about 4 hours because Damien would have to like paint all the makeup and everything on there, and he did that a lot in part one. Part two, he decided to pre-paint the white on the mask, so that saved a lot of time because not only would you have to paint it, you would have to wait for all the paint to dry before you could put anything else on it. So that took about an hour or so out of the makeup time. So now it takes about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, depending on like how much blood splatter and battle damage I have to put on my face and stuff like that. But I mean, we've gotten it down considerably to what it used to be.
Wow, that's awesome. And obviously, there's a huge jump from part one and part two in the budget size, obviously, because obviously you were such success, and obviously you can make a bigger film, obviously. So what's it like going from a set of, I think it was obviously like 10 people in the first film to a bigger crew in the second film?
Can you repeat that for me a second? My internet went hiccup for a second.
Yeah, it's fine. I said, what's it like going from like a crew of like 10 people to like a crew of more than 10 in the sequel. Like the
My
on-screen
internet
cast.
did it again. I am so sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so obviously in Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2, you have obviously massive different scales. So what's it like going from a small scale cast in the first one to a sequel where it's obviously a lot bigger, more cast members and that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, it was pretty much the same in a lot of ways because it's the same crew we were working with. So I think this time it wasn't the size of that mattered. I think a lot more of us were more comfortable with it all this
That's
time
good.
around.
Yeah.
We were more confident in what we were doing, and we knew how people respond to the first one. So we're like, okay, cool. We know people like this, so we have that going for us. Now we just need to make things better, and so we're more confident because we had an awesome script, we had an awesome cast too. I'm like, especially our new female lead, Lauren Lavera. She's just absolutely amazing in this role, Sienna. So that really helped out a lot this time around. But I mean, it still had its ups and downs as filming does, especially because of the pandemic. That delayed things, of course. It's like, and plus a lot of the locations we were filming in were filming during like January, February, December here in New York and Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So it's really, really cold. So that wasn't always fun, especially when you're covered in copious amounts of blood. And it gets kind of cold. Or like in Lauren's case, she wasn't even wearing a lot of clothing too in a lot of the scenes. So it's just like her Valkyrie costume is very skimpy, and I'm like, oh, that's miserable.
Yeah, I bet that's crazy. Just going back to Terrifier 1, obviously, I want to say spoilers ahead. Obviously, we've already said, but there's a scene obviously that's obviously quite gruesome to the audience where you get a hacksaw and then just hack this girl in half. Like, what was it like shooting that scene? Like, and obviously you do a lot of scenes, but that scene stands out the most to me as the most gruesome in the whole film.
Oh yeah, it's pretty up there. But I'm like, we've done far much more gruesome in part 2.
Oh, so, really?
That thing that almost seems tame to me in some aspects.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, yeah. But that was definitely a challenging scene though, because it was dangerous what we're doing. Because Catherine was really hanging upside down like that, pretty much naked in a very compromising position. And it was, oh yeah, it's like 20 degrees that night too. So I know I was freezing cold. So I know she was really miserable like that. And we could only film it for 30 seconds at a time because it's really dangerous to have someone upside down for too long. And so it was a pain because we only had a few seconds of film, then we had to cut and reset.
Oh, wow.
And let her rest a little bit and then do it again and again. So it was very tedious, very, very just stressful. That was a very stressful night. It wasn't like most nights where we're having fun and kidding around. That one we were all serious because we're trying to make sure she's as comfortable as possible. It worked.
That's really crazy because obviously when you watch the film, obviously Damien's very good at what he does. You watch that scene, it looks like it flows so well. Like you said, you did multiple takes. It looks like it's just one take. Obviously, it's mental like that, obviously, for the film. But it's really well how he's put that together, Damien.
Oh, yeah, he's great at editing things because we didn't even film that all in the same location.
Really?
And in months of each other. We filmed all the stuff with Jenna first because she had to leave us to go film the Bye Bye Man. And then we had a location change where we filmed all the stuff with Catherine like 2 months later in a totally different location. And then we had another day where we came in, I actually cut through with the prosthetic piece. So it's just, yeah. And then we even filmed some other stuff, some pickups for Jenna's stuff. And so that was filmed in a totally different location a few months later after that. So it's like he edited it all together where it looks totally seamless. Like we all.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's amazing.
All filmed it all in the same location, but no.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the magic of movies. When we watch it, it looks like one scene, one area. As obviously you said, you filmed it in multiple areas. That's crazy how he's pulled that all together. And in Terrifier, obviously, you have to get into a specific way as your character Art is. Obviously, you don't speak. Don't think he says a single word. Obviously, how do you get into that character? because he's obviously a psycho. Like, how do you manifest yourself into that character?
I can just turn it on and off now because I
Oh.
understand the character. It's like that's how I am as an actor. Once I understand what drives the character and who he is and all that kind of stuff, I can just go in and out of character very easily. So it's second nature to me. So I don't have to do the whole method acting thing, stay in character the whole entire time. I can be joking around, making silly voices, and then they're like, okay, rolling, and then boom, I'm Art. I put on the angry face, and sometimes it's probably very unnerving to my co-stars how easily I can switch between the two. Because
Wow,
one
that's
second I'm just
crazy.
myself, the next second I'm just like stab, stab, stab. Then they're like, cut. I'm like, are you okay? How are you? Especially when you look
Oh.
like that with those nasty teeth and blood all over you. It's like, God, it's got to look weird.
No, because I think for the whole film, like I said, you don't say much. So, and then for you to start saying a lot of stuff during when you're not on, on the scenes, and then you go to say nothing, and then yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so I said obviously with Terrifier 2 coming out, and obviously you can't spoil anything, and obviously the release date's not been revealed. What can fans expect from this one that elevates it from the original?
Mm-hmm. Can you run that by me just one more time? I'm so sorry. My internet's been moving.
Honestly, don't worry about it. So in Terrifier 1, obviously we had a lot of, kills and whatnot. How have you managed to elevate that for Terrifier 2?
Oh boy, I think we just took that as a personal challenge because we wanted to retain everything everybody liked about the first one, especially the kills, the gore, and all that kind of stuff. And so we're like, well, we got to surpass what we did, especially with the hacksaw scene. So we took
Yeah.
that as a personal challenge. So we've we just batted for the fences with this. It's like let's just go full out with this. And so our kills are bigger and gorier. Damien really wanted to show off his skill set with his prosthetic work this time around. So he went crazy with it because we had a bigger budget this time, so we could actually we could be more ambitious with it. I mean, we don't have a huge giant budget, but we have enough that we could really do the things we want to do this time around. And
Of course.
so he's like, yeah, let's just. And plus, in a weird way, the pandemic worked for us in a very strange way, where it actually gave us a little bit more time for him to make prosthetics, so we were able to actually the last two kill scenes we filmed were during the pandemic, and so we actually had the luxury to go back to the script and make those even bigger than we initially planned. And so,
wow.
like a scene that was supposed to take like 2 days for us to film ended up taking a week because we just added so much more to it. And this kill scene in the movie is probably about a 5-6 month long kill scene of you just slaughtering somebody, and it's just insane.
Oh, joyous! I can't wait to see it. Oh, I know.
It's
Normal.
absolutely insane. So that's what we did. It was like, why not? We don't have a studio system over us saying you can't do this, you can't do that. So we're like, we can do whatever we want to. We're the ones making the film. So that's what we did. It's like, let's just have our own fun with this, and
Yeah.
let's take these risks. And there might be some people that get really pissed off at some of the stuff we do because it's very controversial. It's very sadistic and mean, some of the stuff I'm doing in this. But we're like, let's do it because like it seems like so many other people are too afraid to take those kind of risks now in horror, and this is the genre where you need to take those kind of risks. That's what you're supposed to do. You're never going to evolve it further if you're not taking risk, if you're just playing it safe
I agree.
all the time.
Yeah, I agree because I mean, what you and Damien have done with this series, you've brought a bit of freshness back to the genre of horror. Like that's what I loved about it because the first film was so simple. It was so you just had a clown killing people. That's what I loved about it. It was simple. And like you said, you need to throw ideas in there that the likes of Halloween and Friday the 13th aren't using. So you stand out. I mean, you already stand out anyway. So has there any been talks of any release date coming up?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Has there been any talks of a release date?
Yeah, we're looking at it. Damien is about to start shopping this around to distribution in about a week or so, I think. Knock on wood. So hopefully we get a good deal, and then once we have distribution set up, then we'll be able to release the release date. And I mean, we intend to get this out by Halloween at the latest this year. So
Oh, nice.
we want to
Awesome.
release this thing as soon as possible. But just it takes a few months once distribution's settled, so you can figure out all the logistics of how to, all the stuff we need to do for it. But I'm like, it's coming out this year somehow.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
We too. Because we've been wanting to release this thing for like 2 years. It's like, gosh, it's coming. It just took us a little bit longer than we anticipated, and especially with Damien's been really hard at work editing. It's a much bigger film than the first one in every regard. I mean, even lengthwise, it's larger. It's almost twice the length of the first film. So
Really?
it's a lot more stuff that he's had to do this time with the editing and everything like that. We've got some really, like, we just got all the music from Paul Wiley for it, which sounds amazing. And so he's just been doing the last bits of touches for, like, video effects and audio effects and stuff like that. And he's been showing me a lot of stuff, and it's like I just saw like the last 10 minutes of the film the other day, and it's just wow.
Wow.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone will love it just as much as the first one when they get to see it, obviously. Obviously, I know the second one's not out, but do you and Damien ever have talks about where you want to see these characters go?
Yeah, I mean, we have our ideas for part 3. The one thing we definitely don't want to do, though, is to go too crazy with it. That's like the fine line we're always trying to walk with this, is not trying to go full camp. We want to still keep it based in reality in a weird way, I guess, if that makes sense. But keep it true to what the initial concept of this franchise was. Is that just the sadistic killer clown. Yeah, he's paranormal, but we don't want to go crazy with all that kind of stuff. We want to still keep it kind of grounded in that way. We don't want to go too wacky with it either. That's one thing we're always doing on set. Like we do so many different takes of scenes. Like we do very serious takes, we do more comedic takes, and we see what works. Because like, if we don't want to go how they did with like the Freddy films, where they just got too, after a while they got too campy. We don't want to go too campy with it. So yeah, that's definitely a challenge. But like we have some cool ideas for part 3, though. I'm very excited, to see what Damien really comes up with, because it's just the ideas we have, and he hasn't put anything down to paper yet. So I'm fully confident in him.
Awesome. And you mentioned paranormal aspects to Art the Clown. So obviously at the end of number 1, you're supposedly dead, then you come back to life. So is Art the Clown immortal technically? Is that what the concept behind his character is?
That he's paranormal, or like there's something there?
Yeah, that he's immortal, or is that the idea behind Art the Clown's character?
Yeah. That pretty much, in a lot of ways, yes. Like there's something that has brought him back, and we do address that in part 2. And I mean, that's something Damien just wanted to get out of the way at the very beginning. I was like, that's why we originally, when we shot Terrifier, we actually didn't even have that morgue scene. We just ended it with the whole thing with Samantha's reveal at the end, with her turning around the chair, and you find out, oh, that's who it was at the beginning of the film. But like we're like, well, people want a sequel, so we got to go ahead and explain how the bad guy comes back. And it's like, you got to make it supernatural, because you can't just keep on killing a guy, or and him coming back without explaining, oh yeah, there's something else going on there than just he's that's you just got to address it. We just want to address that right out of the gate. So that's what we do with part 2. We just fully address, oh yeah, there's something that's brought him back. There's a reason for it, and all that fun stuff. So it's just like, yeah, we're just getting that out of the way. But but he's not like going to be teleporting and using psychic powers and crap like that. No, he's still Art. He's just hard to kill.
Yeah. No, that's why I love it.
He's kind of It's kind of like Jason in that way. It's like, or Mike Myers, where it's just like, yeah, you can keep doing damage to them, and they just keep coming at you.
Yeah, so you have to take the heads off, basically. Chop the head off, and they'll be dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
It's
Or were they?
obviously you mentioned obviously you touch in the sequel about his origin. Would you and Damien ever want to do a origin story film?
Yes and no, because we kind of do like to keep a lot of his, past a mystery, because I think that's what kind of makes him interesting, kind of like how the Joker is. Like
Yeah,
it's because yeah, it's like once you reveal all that, then you take a lot of the fun out of the character. It's just like, oh, okay, now he's just this guy that did this, this, and this, and this. I mean, Damien and I ourselves, we know who he is and stuff like that. We know
of
his
course.
origin. So we always have that in the back of our mind. But I mean, we might allude to things, kind of how like they allude to things in Batman comics, like who Joker might have been or something like that. I mean, you know how he became Joker because he was a Red Hood and fell into the chemicals, but you don't really know who he was before he was a Red Hood.
Yeah,
That's always kind of the mystery there, and that might be kind of the approach we're taking to art. We'll see what Damien does in part 3, but I mean, we have like some very small hints to maybe his origin in part 2, but like we want to keep that mystery going. We want to keep that because that's part of the fun of him. It's just like it makes him a little bit more scary when you don't know what his real deal is or
of
who he
course.
is or what he is.
Yeah, as you said, it makes it more horror-like. It gives him more of a he is a psycho and he just wants to kill people for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that's really all that really matters. It's like I feel that one line, the cat lady says in the first film is very important to his character. That's what helped me really grasp him. It's like he does this because he finds it to be fun. He's not doing it out of revenge or anything like that, or he was bullied necessarily. I mean, who knows? Maybe he was, but she really captured the essence of the character with that line. It's like he does this because he finds it fun, and to me,
yeah,
I think that's extremely terrifying because that's that's just how sick and depraved he is. He's not. It's not some grudge he has against someone. Someone didn't necessarily hurt him in some way that he's coming back and doing that, get back at them. No, he's just like, I just enjoy killing. This is a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep doing it. And now I'm really hard to kill, so
yeah, I totally get that.
now I can have a lot of fun.
Obviously, because you only had I think you had you said one word, I think, in the first film. Do you speak ever?
No.
Okay, so you don't even speak in the second one.
No, I never speak, and I don't think he ever should. It's just like no, you don't ever want to hear Jason or Mike Myers speak either. It's just that's just like whatever voice would come out would piss people off because they're like that's not.
It would be weird.
How I think he would sound.
I agree because you can't imagine Jason. Yeah, it's a weird thought to think about them speaking.
Yeah.
So obviously, Terrified 2 introduces us to several characters. Felissa Rose obviously joins the cast from Sleepaway Camp. What would she like to work with?
Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah, of
but
course.
we didn't really necessarily work together that much on it, unfortunately. But I'm like, I've gotten to know Felissa very well just from the convention scene. So I mean, so we've become really good friends over all this. So, but from what I understand, everybody enjoyed working with her.
That's good.
So she's I've seen the footage that she does, and it's hysterical. She's typical Felissa. It's great. It's a great little role for her. It's not a huge role. I don't want people thinking that she's not one of the main characters or anything like that. It's more like a really good cameo and stuff like that. And it's fun because I think sometimes when you put like other horror celebrities into these types of films, that sometimes detracts from it because they're like, oh, that's such and so a good friend of the film, and we're like, oh, we'll just figure some way to put you in.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's always good. Yeah, as you say, it's always good to have these horror people join other horror franchises. That's really good to hear. And what do you feel like, when you reflect on the two films, how much do these films mean to you as an actor?
It's great. I mean, like it's changed my life, so it means a lot to me.
Of course.
That's something I never imagined I would be doing this. It's just like I never pictured myself doing horror as a career. I I always did comedy. That was always my bread and butter, comedy and voiceover work, doing silly voices for cartoons and everything. So it's funny now that I'm known for being a sadistic killer and I'm completely silent.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it makes it that much more weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a song and dance man. I was like, I was wanting to do Broadway and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, this is total, 180 for me. But I'm like, hey, I'm not complaining. It's fun. I love it. I love playing bad guys. So I'm like, I'm enjoying this ride. You can't look a gift horse in the mouth that way either. Because I've had people ask me, it's like, are you okay if this is the kind of stuff you do, if you're just kind of typecast in these type of roles? I'm like, yeah, I'm totally fine with it. These are fun roles to do. I mean, I love playing the character roles like this, especially the bad guys. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't have to win an Oscar or anything like that to feel like I've succeeded in life. I'm doing what I love doing, and so I'm happy to keep doing this.
Yeah, exactly. A timecast isn't always a bad thing. I mean, you look at people, obviously I know you come into the Look for Love of Horror back end of this year in the UK, and people will always remember your role and always put you among the killers that you see in the horror genre. You think of Jason and Michael and Freddy and all these people who've come from the 80s. You'll be known as one of the people who came through this generation of horror icons. So, that's what we can all respect about you as an actor.
Yeah, I can't complain about that. I mean, like, I never imagined I would be in that kind of status, especially almost equal status with like Freddy Krueger and Jason and all those guys.
Exactly.
So I was like, I can't complain about that at all. I'm like, most actors would give their right nut to be where I am in that regard. So I'm happy. I am ecstatic to be where I'm very grateful to be where I am.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that. So what are you currently focused on at the moment? Did you catch that?
Can you run that? Can you run that by me again? I'm sorry, my internet.
Yeah, it's fine. What are you currently working on at the moment?
Oh, right now, I'm waiting to finish up my last few scenes with this other horror film called Stream that I've been doing. Not Scream, like that movie franchise is a different. It's
Oh,
Stream,
nice.
like you stream stuff online. Yeah, and Phyllis is actually in that as well. We got a lot of horror alumni in that. It's kind of like an Expendables version of a slasher film. So, like Dee Wallace is in it, Jeffrey Combs, of course, Felicity, Daniel Roebuck, Dave Sheridan, Danielle Harris, Tony Todd. It goes on and on. It just
Wow.
Terry Alexander, Tim Reed. It's just an amazing cast of people we have in this thing, and so it's been so much fun to film all of this with all these people I grew up watching in movies and TV shows and everything like that. So it's just like I almost feel like an imposter being on that set because I'm like, how am I here with you guys?
You've earned your label as a horror guy.
You're my
So,
childhood. Yeah. It's so we've had fun with this. We're looking hoping this is going to become another horror franchise as well because they have some great ideas for where this is going in the future, and hopefully my character lives so I can come back for more of those. I don't want to reveal anything, but knock on wood.
it's really refreshing to see new horror ideas. Not getting the same ones. I said Terrifier. You're doing this new one, stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's refreshing to see these new ideas come to the horror world, and we can finally move away from the likes of Halloween and Friday the 13th and the ones we've been dealing with for the past 34 years. I love the films, but we need new ideas.
Oh, me too. We really do, because even like when they keep remaking or making more of those sequels, they're outside of maybe the Chucky series, they're kind of running out of ideas and just keep on regurgitating the same concepts over and over, and then they copy from each other. Just like, oh my god, we need new blood in there. We need new icons.
Exactly.
It's just like how we had back in the day we had the Universal monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein, Wolfman Mummy, Swamp Creature, Phantom of the Opera, all that. And then Freddy and Jason, Leatherface and Mike Myers and all those guys came into the picture. And so it's like they further evolved things. We need a whole new generation of this to just keep it going, keep adding to the pantheon. And I mean, you can still make those movies, but we still like the Freddy and Jason, all that. You can still make those, but we still need newer, fresh concepts.
I totally agree. And maybe you and Damien can be responsible for building the next universe.
Yeah, it's I'm hoping we're paving the way. I hope we're inspiring other filmmakers to start doing new things and getting back to basics, because I think that's what's been lost. People are all trying to play it way too safe in this industry right now. They're more concerned about making their movies more PG-13 so they can put more butts in the seats as they think. But I'm like, no, you can still make them a good rated R horror film with a lot of gore and everything, and it will still sell. I probably will sell even better because people go, they're like, yes, this is because the fans will go out and see it, and they'll bring their little brothers and sisters or their children to it and stuff like that, because that's what happened back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
It's like you make you make a good movie, people will come see it.
Yeah, I mean, what rating is Terrifier? Did you catch that?
What was that?
So what rating is Terrifier?
Oh God, we don't have a rating yet, but I mean, I think we would definitely be a hard R, if not NC-17.
Oh wow.
It's just like, yeah, I mean, I think the first 10 minutes alone would give us an NC-17 rating, probably, with just the
Joyful.
the content of the gore.
Wow, I'm very excited for this one. And I just want to ask you one final question. Is there anything you can tease the fans? I'm not saying spoil them. Is there something you can say that will tease us to look forward to going into this film?
Yeah, I will say that like I said, it's definitely bigger and bloodier than the first one, but this also has a bigger storyline that we're setting up, because the first one I look at is kind of like Art's origin. This one is Sienna's origin story. And so we're setting up this big, huge rivalry between Art the Clown and this character, Sienna.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I don't want people to think Art's not going to be in this movie. He's definitely in their front. I think basically share equal time. So, like, by the time they finally come to head with each other, it's amazing. It's just like this great battle that goes on between the two of them. And, like, basically, the last third of the film is it's batshit crazy insane. It just doesn't, once it starts going, it does not stop until the credits roll. And so that's maybe like 30, 40 minutes of just pure craziness, gore, action. And it's oh my God.
Jesus, oh my God.
It's fun. It's a fun film. Oh yeah. It's like we did not let up at all on this film at all when it comes to any of that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, we have a lot more story in it, but we're trying not to be boring. I mean, we have your moments in there where we allow the audience to catch their breath, but
of course.
we want to keep going. Like, it's a film that's over 2 hours long, but it doesn't feel that way because it's just constant momentum, constant something going on, something crazy happening. It's just like, it keeps you engaged, and it's a fun film. Oh my God, it's a fun film. I mean, I think this film is just, I almost kind of look at like Terrifier 1 as a proof of concept film compared to this. This feels like, how, I always call it Terrifier. I call Terrifier 2 T2, because I think of Terminator 2, how Terminator 1 was a great film, but Terminator 2 just took everything to a new level. And that's kind of how I look at this one. It's like, this is our Terminator 2 in a lot of ways.
Nice. You've definitely set the height level, and I'm very excited to watch it. I hope it drops within the next, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it may be, So awesome.
Man, I do too.
Well, thank you, David. It's been amazing.
I can't wait. Yes, great talking to you. I'm sorry again about all my crazy internet crap going on, but hey.
Hey, don't worry about it.
technology, yay.
Yeah, exactly. The most important thing is I got to chat with you about the new film, and obviously,
Exactly.
so thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Glad we finally made this happen, man.
Yeah, exactly. All the
You take good
best.
care.
Yeah, you too. All the best and all the
Yeah.
success. I'm terrified too.
Thank you. You take care. Have a good night. All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.